Hey guys, you've heard the buzz. I'm Kaboyamba and I'm super excited to be introducing STEM Trailblazers. It starts with one idea, one person, one trailblazer. Amazing individuals doing extraordinary work in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM Trailblazers is a web series that celebrates real, authentic stories of people making a difference in STEM across Africa and beyond. This series is dedicated to the change makers, the everyday heroes, and the passionate professionals whose work is creating impact, often behind the scenes and inspiring others to do the same. Through each 1-hour conversational style interview, we'll explore their journeys, their challenges, and the lessons they've learned along the way. These are stories of creativity, courage, and impact. Stories that will inspire and empower the next generation of STEM innovators. Join us every week and discover how extraordinary people are doing extraordinary things in STEM. Launching 12th November 2025. See you soon! Hi everyone. Hi, welcome to our live stream. Hi Ndanji. Ndanji's already here. You can unmute and say hi to the people. Okay, so welcome to the second episode of STEM Trailblazers. My name is Kaboyamba. I will not introduce our guest yet, but then I'm super excited to have everyone join. Also, for the people who watch the replay, whatever time you watch this, just know that we are also excited to have you here and have you actually join us. So, today's our second episode. We had episode 1 last week, and for your information, this is season 1. Yes, there'll be many more seasons to come. And for season 1, we are focusing on women in STEM, people like Ndanji, amazing people like Ndanji, and a lot of other women in STEM in Zambia and Africa. And we just want to hear their stories. So this is an informal setup where we get to hear about their journeys, what they've learned, how their career is going, and what the future looks like. So without further ado, help me welcome Ndanji Nachangwa. Yay!
You can't hear me, but I'm doing a drum roll for myself.
Okay, so before we actually get into our conversation, Ndanji, and we do like formal introductions, I'm going to play your intro video. So why I want to do this particular intro video is because first of all, AI did the voiceover. So I really find it funny how like AI like pronounces like African names.
Oh my
So
god.
like when I was watching your intro, I was like, let's do this. Let's see how it
I'm
will go.
nervous.
Okay, so I'm going to play your intro video based on the bio that we have about you, and then we'll get right into it. So let me cue in your intro video.
Introducing
Okay,
the
great.
Trailblazer. Ndanji Nachangwa is a STEM advocate and educator focused on shaping Africa's next generation in innovation and creativity. As head of innovation at Robotics Institute Zambia and Launcher Engineers Hub, she leads programs introducing coding, robotics, and problem solving, particularly for girls. With an aeronautical engineering background, Ndanji promotes the notion that STEM is both technical and creative. She is dedicated to inspiring purpose-driven innovation rooted in faith, excellence, and curiosity, empowering youth to create compassionate solutions and lead confidently in a changing world.
A for effort on the name.
Okay, Ndanji. So yeah, you've been introduced very rightly so, but then we'll still do it again for the people who didn't hear properly. So who is Ndanji? So I want you to tell me about Ndanji as a woman in STEM first, and then also without all these amazing titles that you hold, who is Ndanji?
Okay, great. So Ndanji as a woman in STEM, I think this is something I'm getting used to. For a very long time, I didn't particularly see myself as a woman in STEM. And then when people tell you that, you're like, oh, okay, here's where I am. But as a woman in STEM, I like to firstly begin by saying that I am creative. I think I stumbled into STEM stereotypically. I'm not the type of person you'd expect to be in STEM. So I like to think of myself as the creative STEM girly. But on to more of a day-to-day function. I work at Robotics Institute as the head of innovation, which encompasses quite a lot of different tasks and work. But the heart of it is I teach children from the age of 5 to 18, could expand in the future, coding and robotics. And this is our way of introducing them to problem solving and creativity, and also throwing in life lessons here and there. Then I also serve as a volunteer at the Launcher Engineers Hub in innovation as well. And in Launcher Engineers Hub, I design programs and events that help bring people's skills to the limelight.
Nice. Amazing. So, fun fact, I met you first before I met you. So, I don't know if
okay.
So I met you before I met you, and I think the first time I met you was at the EdTech AI Indala, and you were facilitating a session. And for some reason, I was like, I need to talk to her because I think you were still talking about like robotics, and I think you might have had a stand, but I just remember that, and I was like, oh, it's really nice to see like someone very passionate about innovation and creativity. Then the second time we met is when like I met you. So we're doing
which
like
was
an
basically
upgrade.
the next day.
So when I saw you walk into the room, I'm like, wait, she's the one I saw like the day before talking about robots and all that cool stuff. And I remember you leading a session in coding. And I had never seen someone be so like creative and passionate because mind you, we didn't have like, technology and anything, like in the room. But you actually taught the girls coding. I'm saying this as a background because just to validate the fact that like innovation and creativity is really your thing, because to potentially show someone like be so creative about teaching people like outside just about coding, and you made it easy for them. I won't go into that because it will be a question for later, but I know you said that you stumbled into STEM, like you were not like, so like what was that moment? Like what was your stumbling, like your zing or like your aha moment of like, oh, I want to be an engineer. I want to do this thing and actually plug into it.
Okay. So I feel like that answer, I don't think I would say it was one like light bulb moment, but I would say maybe it was like little sparks. And if I'm being honest, this is when the picture is kind of starting to get clearer. But I remember growing up, I was one of those kids that used to change what they want to be when they grow up every day. Like, you ask me today, I want to be an astronaut. Tomorrow, I want to be like, it was something different every day for a very long time. Like, I went all the way into uni, still not knowing what I wanted to do, which is pretty crazy. But I will say there are 3 films actually that made me realize that I'd like to do every day. So the first one was 3 Idiots. I don't know if you've watched it.
No, I have not.
If you
I
haven't,
probably haven't watched any of the movies you mentioned. If you ask any of my friends, they'll be like, "Oh my god!" But yes, 3 Idiots. I'll watch
so
it. Yes.
I'll be on your case to watch it. But 3 Idiots basically follows the journey of it's a Bollywood movie. It follows the journey of the students that go into uni, into the School of Engineering actually, and they are different types of students. So one of them is an engineer because that's what his parents wanted him to do. Then there was a guy who was really studious, so he is like the academic type, and if he applies himself, he learns. And then there was the main character was this guy who engineering was just so intuitive for him. Like he just knew it, and he was very creative. And even in the way he would explain learning, that just made me feel like, man, I can see myself in that guy.
Like I can actually do this.
Yeah, so that's the first guy. Second one is a cartoon, Phineas and Ferb.
Of course.
Surely.
No, that one I know. There you have my backing. Yes.
Yeah, if you asked me what I would like to do every day, I was like, man, living life like Phineas and Ferb must be so fun. Like every day, what are we going to do today? And you do something, and the next day something different. Until now, I rewatch it like 10 out of 10. And then the third one is this movie it's an animation as well, called Meet the Robinsons. And it's about this young innovator. He just makes like robots and different things all the time. And he has this robot that keeps on failing, like it doesn't work. I mean, not to be a spoiler, but like it's been out since the early 2000s. But this guy, basically his whole thing is he's working on a project that doesn't work. And then somehow he finds himself in the future and he meets the future him. And the future him is responsible for building like a very futuristic, a very futuristic world. And he gets to explore that. And they have this theme of keep moving forward. Like he'll try something and the whole theme of the movie is keep moving forward. You should watch it. But anyway, I didn't know it back then, but that was actually my introduction to innovation. I didn't know about the word innovation then, but
you
I
knew,
would see myself in those characters. So if I was to fast forward all the way to uni when I actually chose to do engineering, I chose to do engineering when I was in my first year of NS. Which is also
so
really
wait, pause. So for people who don't get the Zambian school system, just take us through after 12th grade and then you go into university. What does that look like? Like how does getting to School of Natural Sciences in uni? Also, this is just for the people who might want to know how you get into it. So just that pathway.
Okay, great. So I went to a school called Ndanji National Technical School. So it was a very STEM focused school. Like I met some of the most brilliant people up until now who I've ever met. And everybody knew what they wanted to do. It was either you're really good at the sciences or you're really good at this, and that informs your path. The problem with me though was I was good at the sciences, but I was also good at the non-science things like the arts, English, literature. So it was very hard for me to pick what to do. That didn't help me at all. But when I got my results, because of the courses I was taking, the subjects I was taking, like physics, pure chemistry, especially physics, when I showed it to my teacher after I finished, she was like, you're doing so well in the sciences, so obviously you need to apply into natural sciences for university. Yeah. So in Zambia, so I don't know how it works for the other schools. You have to help me with that. But before you get into engineering or biology or any STEM field, your first year is called natural sciences. So you basically just learn the pure biology, pure physics, pure chemistry. And from there, depending on how you grade, you now get into different schools. So you get into a school of engineering or biology or or ICT or whatever. Yeah. So for me, I went into NS because my results told me I should be in NS. And I was good at learning stuff. If you give me something and I sit down with it long enough, I'm going to figure it out. So obviously I went to NS. And when I got into NS, two things informed my decision to get into engineering. So the first one was that apparently it was the hardest to get in. So obviously I wanted the cloud, I wanted the cloud.
Not you picking the degree because you want the cloud. That's a new one.
And then everybody was like, "Oh no, the girls don't go into bang. Like it's a guy thing.
They don't do bang. It's just the guys."
And I wanted to prove a point, so I was like, "What did you say is the hardest thing to get in again? The bang? Got it. That's what I'm gonna do." But also, because now I'm in first year and there's an actual timer of at the end of this year I need to choose a major. So when I'm doing some research on what do I do, the two things I enjoyed were computers. Anything to do with computers I really enjoyed. But I also really loved physics back from high school. And when I got to learn about it more in uni, it was just so interesting. And I had a tutor as well who was also so good at teaching. It was so fun. So I'm like, okay, so here are the two things. I describe myself on Google, try and find people on Reddit, and everybody's like, oh, so you have to do engineering if that's what you like. And this is who you are. So I get into engineering. This is the clap for me moment. It was the hardest.
You did it! Kali, you were trying to prove. Now you have done it.
Yeah. I proved the point, and when I got into Bang, I was like, oh, this is why.
That's why they said.
It's like you proved the point, now what? But anyway, getting into Bang, is when I got to realize there are two sides. So when you get into Ben, you're going to take electrical courses and you're going to take mechanical courses. Me and the electrical courses, no. I was like, okay, bet I'll focus on the mechanical, and that's the side of physics I enjoy anyway. And so now I'm looking at the mechanical department and what's available. And because as well, I was still making decisions on vibes. I was like, there's aeronautical engineering, there's mechanical engineering, there's mechanical engineering, and there was mechatronics. And I don't know, something about aeronautical engineering seemed like
just the
pretty
name.
cool. Yeah,
The
like
name.
imagine be like, hi, my name is Ndanji Nachangwa, I'm an aeronautical engineer. So that was like pretty fun to say. But then also around that time is when I got really, really into Formula One. So the sport that's motorsport. Yes. And I realized that it was actually one of the highest employers of aeronautical engineering, especially because of aerodynamics. So this was, so I was like, light bulb, I love Formula One, like aeronautics. Somehow I can find myself in Formula One. So yeah, that's basically the journey how I found myself in engineering.
I really, really love the fact that you talked about Formula One and how you tied like something you actually enjoy with like your actual goal. Okay, apart from like obviously the vibes that you've talked about.
Yeah.
I'm bringing this up because for a lot of the women and just people in STEM I've met, right, those who've actually created impact or been passionate, it's two things. Usually one, they have someone who like really showed them that what they're doing is worth it, like a tutor or a lecturer who was really passionate. And two, it was always tied to something they're passionate about. And something I usually tell people is with STEM, right? STEM is not the easiest thing. And even when we talk about like STEM skills, we should never like forget that it's actually work. Like you have to be resilient, you have to be steadiest, like you actually have to be that person. But then above all, you have to be innovative and creative and very passionate, because when the books start booking and the tests start testing,
I'm telling you.
It's the passion that actually like keeps you in the field and keeps you going. And also the wonder of what next, right? Like in your sense, like in your case, like creativity, innovation, what else can I do? Because when you enter this like boxed view of like, oh, this is STEM, I'll just be an aeronautical engineer and just do, like aerodynamics my whole life. But then like the world is changing, so you have to keep like adapting. So based off that, I know you talked about like the vibes and whatever, but then in reality people actually see engineering as rigid and technical, as opposed to how you're describing it. You're actually one of the very few people I've met who like describe engineering very like vibes. So like but then like I like how you just highlight creativity. So how does creativity show up in your work, like in aeronautical engineering? And I also just want you to give a brief view of what that is as a field and how like creativity shows up in that sense.
Okay. So I will start by saying I haven't yet had the chance to work in aeronautical engineering. I don't know if I ever will. The future is uncertain. But like straight out of uni, I found myself in a different field. So before I do touch on to that, I want to talk about the creativity. I think the idea that STEM isn't creative is actually more harmful than we think, because we're now painting the picture of only one type of person belongs in STEM. So you'll see even with the teachers, the way they're able to, let's say, identify who should do what, they're going to be looking at your results, so they'll be looking at your interests. That girl who's always in Jets Club, that girl who's always really good with math. And whilst that is true, but that's just the easiest person to point out that they belong in STEM. But then there's also those people who have more peculiar interests. If I was a teacher, I would be looking for things like, who's curious, who is always going to find a creative solution. I think those types of people, who's always asking questions, where is that annoying kid?
Yes, that's that one.
those people belong in STEM as well, but it's not always apparent. And when you see yourself as a creative, you are more likely to wind up in clubs like drama club, arts club, singing, choir. And when they associate who you are with those clubs, it's very easy for you to be left out on the STEM spectrum.
Yeah.
But then coming back to the question about how creativity shows up. So right now I work in edutech. Like I mentioned, I work with Robotics Institute, and we teach coding and robotics to children. I mean, off the bat, the mode of which we teach coding and robotics is creative in itself. You make a robot and get it to do something.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of coding and robotics, it's a very iterative process. You're going to like, the chances are the first time you run your code, it's not going to work. So you have to keep trying, figure out a way to do it. And one thing we've realized that shows us the creativity with its children and also our students is that you can give them one problem, but the solutions you're going to get is like wide. Like, that's a true testament to the creativity that really exists. Honestly, within everyone, I think everybody is innately creative. You just need to nurture that.
No, really and truly. And I think it's important also to just go back to the conversation about how you spot the learners or just people who should be like, in STEM fields. And usually for me, I say focus more as well. Like technical skills are great, like people who are doing great in physics and whatever are good, right? But then also focus on what the soft skills are. So like you're asked, like you're saying, who's the person who's solving the problems? Like, those kids in class who always have a solution for everything, the ones who will research, like who will keep asking, keep digging, investigate, those, like you're saying, who will be curious, like who will keep on asking, but why? But why does this do this? But why does that do that? Even those who are tinkerers, like the ones who will just fix things up. And I think when we start to think of it like that, I think we'll have even more people seeing themselves as people in STEM, because most of the times also on the other end of the spectrum is like, for me, I remember I was good at like I was good at everything, but like because I was good at like the pures, so everyone automatically thought like, oh, I'd be a doctor or whatever. But me, I'm glad, guys, like, why do you have this? Like I'm like, why do you have why are you? So for me, I remember it was very confusing for a while, right? Like what I needed to do, because in my head I was like, oh, I'm good at sciences, so I must do a STEM field. But I eventually found myself in STEM education, which is like me literally
Which
teaching
is also
60.
not a very apparent field, by the way. Like, did you even know the field existed before?
No, I actually stumbled upon it. Like I was like, oh, I'm doing, because I was always passionate about it, right? I'm like from the start, I've always been a person who teaches really well. Like I can explain concepts to people, break down things come easily for me. But then I didn't see it as like a career, like, oh, I can do STEM education my whole life. So I get what you're saying about like how in the Zambian sector we sort of streamline like who should go where and what they should do. Okay, enough about that. The next question I'll ask you is, because we've talked about STEM education and innovation, right? So, what excites you most about the work you do at Robotics Institute and also at Launcher? Like, what excites you the most about that work? I know you've talked about the children, but like, just what excites you about that work and that field?
So before I give my answer, I hope my boss isn't listening to this because he's gonna get excited. But honestly, I really love problems. Like I really enjoy the having a problem. Like obviously when we have a problem, and be it in a class or be it in managing a team or in coming up with a new idea, like the moment we encounter a problem, obviously I'm gonna whine about it, but like on the inside,
Whining, but low-key excited.
yeah, because I think I'm just so excited to find the solution to something that hasn't been found, or to find a better way to do something. If you ask me what I'm good at, I think the thing I'm good at is having good ideas. And I don't even know how that's a skill you can package. I guess it works out in innovation, but any opportunity to be able to come up with a good idea and see it work, that's like, that's my jam. That's
That's
my
where you're
jam.
at. That's where you're at. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now the next thing I'm going to ask you might be very like idealistic, but I don't think it is because for me, it's what anchors the work that I do. So you working with young people and just like a lot of girls and just innovators and your experience. So as someone who does that, what skills do you believe will actually help young people develop and thrive in the future of work? So I feel like we talk about the future of work, but I feel like it's now because so
Yeah.
much is changing. And you know, in the African context, I always tell people like Africans, we usually find ourselves shocked, right? Like we
Yeah.
are shocked like
Yeah.
AI happened. But like when you do the history, it's like been here for a
Yeah.
while. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how do we then with your experience, like what skills one do the young people need and how do we make sure that they are prepared for these shifts that keep happening?
Yeah, honestly, I love this question. I love this question. So, first things first, in terms of Africa, I think Africa is really at the precipice of something great because we do have the youngest population, and it's gonna be like that for a very long time. So, we are already supposed to be the pioneers of innovation just by the nature of our population and also by the nature of the problems we face. I feel like we have very specific African problems that need very specific African solutions. But the future of innovation, like, man, I wish I could project what's in my mind, but like, the future of innovation in Africa is really great. But the skills that we need are not the things that are apparent to us. Um, we often think, and I see this a lot with parents, they think, oh, I want to get my child into coding and robotics because I want them to have a job in the future. And we think technology is the only tool or the only skill that we need to be future ready. But the truth is, we need to be able to equip young people with the skills that are timeless. The truth is, the job landscape is forever going to be changing. So that's not the thing we should
Yeah.
really be chasing. It should be skills like, I call them skills anyway, skills like curiosity, the ability to solve problems, the ability to innovate, values, like how to be a person of integrity, how to care for your community, how to be a leader. There is no shift in technology that's going to make those skills not important. So the future of work is really about nurturing things like creativity, curiosity, collaboration, critical thinking. Like, as long as we build the next generation with these skills, even if you were to do a time jump 1 million years from now, you're always going to be relevant.
You know, when I used to run Genius, something I used to tell the young people we used to meet with is the skills that will make you relevant in the future are the skills that make you human because of the
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
differentiate you from like, you know, the robots, because there's this whole like
yeah,
robots will take over our jobs. And I'm like, but then like right?
yeah,
But then the point is just like I always feel like no, but then the thing that keeps you apart or sets you apart is actually the human, like how human you are. So
yeah,
like what you're saying, problem solving is something human beings can do well. Obviously, AI can do it in a thing, but it's based off what we feed it, right?
yeah.
Creativity is something that AI doesn't have because creativity is something that's innately human out there. Saving things like love, like being able to actually
Yeah.
have emotion
Yeah.
is something that you need in the future, because if you don't love something that you, whether it's your job, whatever, you really won't have passion. So things like passion, right?
Yeah.
Curiosity as well. Like robots are not curious, they just tell you what you want them to see. So I
Yeah.
totally agree with what you're saying, and I think it's really like it's very important to help young people also just know that those things matter, because like you're saying, sometimes they keep chasing like, you know, the technical things like the coding, which is great, but it's actually them growing in like, oh, emotional intelligence, being
Yeah.
able to work in a team, being able to be ethical as well, like ethical leadership, what's right and what's wrong, because you know, technology is, it's us who make technology. So if technology is
Yeah.
bad, it's because we are bad. If it's good, it's because we are good. And yeah, anyway, you can tell I'm very passionate about that. So
I feel like, oh, off camera, you and I need to continue this conversation because I
we
did
just need
just
to be
want
talking
to.
and talking.
Because I did just want to add in, just feeding into what she said. I mean, it's already evident now, but it's going to keep growing as time goes on. There's such a focus on human-centered design. And the authors of human-centered design are humans. So the best way to be future ready is to be a good human who wants to create for humans. So the moment you take empathy out of it, it's not going to last.
You can't. That's such a Ala, you have quotes. Put you uncomfortable because what? Clock it.
I hear you.
Okay, so back to your career and just like your journey in engineering. What's one thing that you'd want every girl who encounters your work to believe in herself? Like being a woman in STEM, because you're a woman in STEM, Danji, you have to accept it. But what's one thing
Okay.
you want to
No,
believe
for
they
sure, for
see?
sure. I think the first thing I would like them to believe, especially in regards to STEM is that you belong there. Sometimes it doesn't look like you do, especially if there are not a lot of people that are similar to you. It's very easy to count yourself out. So don't count yourself out. You belong in STEM. And the thing that makes you different from all these people in STEM means that's the special thing you're going to add to it. We definitely need more diversity. And I know when we speak about diversity, the first thing we think of, we want more women in STEM, but we actually want more of different types of women in STEM. We want that girl that's smart, but we also want the girl that's really good at fashion. We want the girl that loves makeup, the girl that loves to cook. I think STEM has a place for everybody and every kind of girl. So I would want them to believe that they belong there. And that there is absolutely nothing you can't learn. Like you can learn anything. You just need to find the right resources, the right tutor, the right learning style, but there is nothing you can't learn.
Okay. So while you're speaking about this, might be a word cut, but it's in connection to what you just talked about. So one of the most interesting things, okay, not most interesting, that's me being Zambian and exaggerating. One of the interesting things about you is recently I know you published something about STEM being pink.
You saw it?
I did. And it made me think, like, it really made me think, like, oh, STEM is like, I've never thought of it like that. So I just want you, because it's connected to what we just talked about, but just take me through your thought process around that. Because also, I know that I've seen you when you're working with young girls. Like, there's a light you have, that, like, there's a way.
No, because those are my people, you know what I mean?
I know. So, like, STEM is pink. Take me through that. Like, what inspired you to write that? What was your thought process behind it? Why STEM? Like, STEM is pink.
Okay. So I should mention, so STEM is Pink came up because Sister Foundation was having a lecture night and they wanted different people to talk about different things. So I think naturally the pocket that I thought I would fall in was something to do with STEM. So initially I knew I wanted to submit something, but I was going to be pretentious about it and like try and find out STEM is the future, technology, AI, because for a long time I felt like an imposter in STEM. But I tried writing that story so many times, it didn't work out. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to be honest. And STEM is Pink is basically a story of my journey in STEM thus far. And the name STEM is Pink simply comes from the fact that everybody tends to associate colors with certain subjects. And it's also in the way things are marketed. When you look for an exercise book, the blue one is probably going to have boxes on the inside showing that it's for math. English is going to be yellow, history will be red maybe. So for me, I thought of the way I color coded subjects. And I think of myself as a very colorful person, something brighter, yellow, pink, well, not pink, but filia. Yeah, so the article touches on two premises. The fact that I didn't think I belonged in STEM, because for me that was a dull color and I thought of myself as a brighter color. And the second premise was that I had always heard of not the best things spoken about women's intelligence. So even at a young age, I had tried to kind of step out and not be like all the other girls, do all the different things so that people think that I'm a special kind of girl. And
Yeah.
that included not liking the color pink. But then as I've grown up, I really, really like the color pink. If you want to get me something, give me something in pink.
Please
But
buy it in pink.
yeah, but it gave me this eureka moment where I was like, if I like pink, like the stereotypical color girls like, it means I'm like every other girl. And if I'm like every other girl and I found myself in STEM, it means every other girl belongs in STEM. And that's something, I know it sounds catchy and like it's like a cool thing to say, but that's something I genuinely, genuinely believe. I think every girl has a place in STEM and can be in STEM. Yeah.
Amazing. I was just looking at you like, ish. Guys, I love to talk to passionate people. I really, really love to talk to passionate people. So then the other question I'll ask you again might be a word card or whatever, but
Scared.
what advice, what like practical advice you'd give to a young person? This is not just generally in terms of, because you know the story about how like when you're in school, right? Not everyone has it figured out. Like,
Yeah,
because for me, I remember I also used to change like every other day, like
yeah,
at least 2 times a week. I would want to be different things. But like,
yeah,
what's your advice to someone in school right now, like probably high school, who's trying to make like a career decision? Not only based off STEM, but like who's trying to get into a certain field. What advice would you give in terms of like what life after school should look like? What should they pursue? You know, like what are the skills or the like what should determine what they choose in terms of career?
okay. So I think the first thing, it might sound a little idealistic when I say it, but I think the greatest project you can go on is the discovery of yourself and also being entirely honest with yourself. I think sometimes like there's this like temptation to be like the person who's successful, which is also important in its own right because that's where mentorship comes in. But really, your only way to find your place in the world and be great is to be true to who you are. Like be who you are. The thing that you're good at, that's the thing you should pursue. And like it doesn't matter whether it has like acclaim, because I know for the longest time there's so many people I know who'd have made great teachers or maybe great cooks, chefs, but because
Yeah.
it's not the most prestigious thing, they won't go after it. And I see the wisdom in that. But then I will say God, because I'm Christian, that really it
Of
informs the way I
course.
do life. Is God is very intentional with the skills He gives us and the abilities He gives us. So lean on your natural talents, and if you feel like you don't know what they are yet, try more things. Try and figure yourself out. And it's not always the most obvious things like, oh, I can sing, I can dance, I can do this. Sometimes it's like you're
You
really good
actually
at
never really
singing.
notice your strengths because you're so
True,
used to them.
true. It's like, yeah, so get into the work of discovering who you are and then lean into your strengths. That's the easiest way to make your mark in the world. But if I was to lean more onto practical skills, I think look for tools to create. So STEM is a great tool to create, coding is a tool to create. And if that's not something that comes easily for you, think of what would I like to make and what tool can I use to make that? Is it my voice that I'm going to use to create stuff? Is it my ability to write? Is it my ability to maybe I get along with people well? So look for tools to create the thing you want to create and solve the problem you want to solve.
Okay. I have two more questions.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what's a personal value or principle that has anchored you throughout your journey? Like what's that thing, whether it's a quote, I don't know, whatever it is that has just really anchored you. And especially when things are challenging and it just looks like it's not working, what's
Yeah.
something that has anchored you?
Okay. So if I'm going to say two things, I feel like I've been saying this the whole time, but I'm going to say two things. The first one is a quote which I really, really love. I think it's by Mary Kate Ash. So the quote is, aerodynamically, the bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but the bumblebee doesn't know that. So the bumblebee keeps flying anyway.
Ooh, I got goosebumps.
I'm not even going to speak on that one because, self-explanatory, right? Like, yeah, fear really does a number on us, but yeah, if you can curb fear as early as possible. And then the second thing I'm going to say is not really a quote, and I'm going to speak first because it's a little story. But anyway, when earlier last year, I had spent some time working in the field with Ria as an enumerator. And if you know anything about enumerators, you will work.
You will collect.
You will work like you are in the field the whole day. But during my work with Ria, there had been a time we were in Mukushi, and that was towards the end of a 55-day project. 55 days on the road, by the way, you would have hated it. Yeah, but I remember like we're in Mukushi and we're doing this whole thing of we're basically trying to map out the 33 kV line, if that means anything to you. But we were deep in the bush, and I remember just thinking, oh my God, I hate this job and I'm so tired. Like I want to go home. Like I was like, man, I want to go home. But then I remember just like hearing within me that, do you know what the best part about this day is? No matter how hard this moment is, this moment will pass. And at the end of the day, you'll be in your bed and you won't even remember feeling this way. And I would go with that mentality every day. And even past that project now, I'll be in a really difficult season. And I'll be like, man, the beauty about seasons is they really do change. And that's wisdom for good seasons, and that's encouragement for the bad seasons. The bad seasons, they're truly going to pass. They will pass and you won't remember them, you remember the lessons. And it's wisdom for the good seasons, in that when you're going through something good and you're in your season of abundance, that's great. But that season is also not going to last forever. So in your good seasons, prepare for the winter, and in the summer, yeah, you get the vibe.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah, do what you need to do.
Because the winters also might be shorter than the summers, but they always feel longer.
Girl, don't I know it?
Okay, so then my last question before I ask the closing question is, if you could go back and speak to yourself, like your younger self, like younger Ndanji, the girl.
What age are we speaking?
Okay, let's do a 5, because I feel like
that girl was a menace. I don't think she was even
that girl. You know why I want us to go back to when you were 5? I feel like people also think that we just become.
True.
But like, there is, like, if you ask me about who I was when I was 5, there's something about her that is still around me and my career. So like, what would you tell that menace of Ndanji at 5? Like, what would you tell her about her career, about, I don't know, about STEM? What would you say to her?
I know this is something I've already said, but I'll genuinely say, like, the person you are now, like, just be that person. Like, be yourself. I think 5 is very easy for me to imagine now, because I have nieces around that age, and their personalities are, they haven't really encountered failure yet. They're pretty confident in themselves. I would tell her, this version of yourself, like, take care of it. Like, just be yourself and everything is going to be okay. Like, just be yourself.
Yeah. And I think I asked that because, also, just a side note for like parents who are raising kids, right? I'm not a parent, so I'm not even going to act like I'm an expert, but I'm just saying that for a lot of like young people, even myself, it's the things that I was doing when I was younger that I'm actually still enjoying doing now. So I think it goes back to what you said about like nurturing, like not always thinking about, oh, let me get my kid into coding and Jets Club because they'll prepare for the future. It's more about like, what does my child actually enjoy? what do they enjoy? Do they like building? Do they like painting? Do they like coloring? Because also the thing about STEM is, for me, I like to say that STEM is not just like a career field. STEM is actually like, when you think about the STEM skills can be applied across the board, whether it's fashion, like you mentioned, whether it's culinary arts, whether it's sports, like in everything that we do, whatever job it is that you have to have STEM skills. So my point is just that I asked that deliberately because like there's an essence in how young we are that actually still grows with us. So if you're wondering like, oh, what am I supposed to be? I'm so confused. Think about who you were when you were 5 or like 10. You probably like it'll click. It'll click.
Yeah,
Think of
it
also
will.
because people like
It
say
will.
when you become an adult, like you have to be mature. Oh,
You have to be a big woman now.
you're a big person now.
But then also, I think just to add on what you said, I think a lot of young people now might have a hard time. I mean, when we say the future of the job market is uncertain because we don't know what
Yeah.
careers are going to exist. I think that also should ring true to the young people now. Like, if you don't know what you want to be, it's okay because
It's
maybe the thing you
fine.
ought to be doesn't yet exist. Yeah.
I saw a quote that said that people in 6th grade don't even know like the jobs they'll have in the future. Like
True.
the jobs of the people in like grade
Yeah.
5 are not even yet there.
Which is
Like they
so
haven't
true. Yeah.
like they haven't even yet been formed. So if you don't know, it's fine. And I think it goes back to be curious. And also
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of people, and people don't know, like people don't think about it a lot, right? Like because sometimes there's that pressure of like figure it out now, like figure out
Yeah.
your 10-year
Yeah.
plan. But to be
Yeah.
honest, like you said, the greatest journey you go on is actually discovering yourself. For me,
Yeah.
even with the job I do now, if you ask me like at 17, I'd be like, like
Yeah.
I
To
wouldn't,
be honest, I didn't
yeah.
even know it existed up until I met you. Imagine. You can only
The thing
imagine.
shock me every day. Like I'm always shocked. Like
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
always, always shocked. Like I'm always confused. I'm like, what kind of job is my point is also just
Uh-huh.
that you can actually co-create the future that you want. It doesn't have to
Now
be a
that's
job.
put that on a plaque
No,
and send it
really.
to
Like
me.
we are in the age of dynamism, right? Like look at you,
Yeah.
Ndanji. Like you work at robotics, you did aeronautical engineering. Like who knows? Maybe tomorrow you want to do megatronics. Like
Ah,
the point,
real.
like if you wake up tomorrow and you're like, I feel like I want to start all over, or I feel like maybe I could find, and for me, that's how I came up my career. Like, it's all
Mhm.
the things I love:
Yeah.
STEM, education, writing, talking. If you know me, I like talk. You've noticed, but like my point is, you
I
can
hear you.
actually co-create a career that you want because we are living in an age of like anything is possible and you can be
Literally.
anything and everything. I don't say that like loosely. I mean it.
Yeah.
Because when I met you, like I met you in 2 different settings on 2 different days. You're 2 different people
Yeah. True. 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 True.
on
One
two
day,
different.
I was in a collared shirt. The next day, I was in a t-shirt and sleeping.
I'm
So you
like,
can only
baby girl,
imagine.
weren't we both in heels and like jackets and looking very serious, holding my, and then
You
now we are
know.
in like Adidas with boyfriend jeans ready to ramble.
Not you describing my outfit to the T.
No, I actually didn't even think about it, but now the vision has come back. That's what you were wearing.
Literally. Literally, yeah.
No, love that. Anyway, so my last question anyway is like I don't know what to ask you. So before you actually leave us with like your final like takeaway quote,
Mhm.
like right now, if your life was a chapter in a book, like what would the title be? Like what chapter would we be reading? Like what is this chapter of Ndanji?
I feel like first things first, right now the readers would be like so confused. Because I mean, I think maybe like if they're reading chapter one, it's like how to be a carpenter. Chapter two, how to be a chef, how to be and then I think we are at that chapter which is like maybe the eureka moment It's like I was going around collecting all these odd skills, all these odd experiences that don't really work together. But then all of a sudden, it's like I can put everything together now, and I can see the big picture. Like, oh, finally, it makes sense. So I would call it
Like
Eureka. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's clicked. It's now clocking.
it's clocked. Let's clock it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. So before, I
Okay.
don't know, I can't see any questions in the comments, but I'll ask if anyone who's watching has a question, one question. But while we wait for that question, I will ask you with like, is there anything you'd want to like leave this conversation off with? Like something on your heart for people in the field of STEM, for young women, please just like take us away.
Okay. I think there's a lot of things I could say, but one thing, which is actually a quote from one of the movies I mentioned, Meet the Robinsons. You should watch it if you have nothing to watch today. You finally have something. Is keep moving forward. I think there's this quote I had seen some time back, and I might paraphrase it. If I butcher it, don't come for me. But it says, "Fear not, fear not." Something about fear not going in the wrong direction. Instead, be afraid of standing still. So my advice would be keep moving forward. If there is something you don't know right now, as you keep moving forward, the answer is probably somewhere there in the future waiting for you. So keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give it 2 minutes. I've posted. So if any of you have a question for Ndanji, I hope you're not doing like a like fingers crossed that no one wants to ask you anything.
How did you know? All my fingers and toes are crossed right now.
But I've asked if anyone wants to ask any
Okay.
questions, but I'll give it like 2 minutes. But in the meantime, um it's not a question per se, but how do people get plugged into like Robotics Institute? What are you doing there? Like launch her. Like I just want you to talk about that even as we close off so that people know how they can get involved in the amazing programs that you're offering and the things that you're doing.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, the first thing I do want to say before I get into that is just to say find yourself community if you can. Launcher Engineers Hub was officially my first job after uni, even though it was a volunteer position, but it was my first job and it's a thing that kept me busy. So, a huge shout out to the founders of Launcher Engineers Hub, Sitembile, Namwinga. They've really opened up the world for me, and also the people at Robotics, Tombo and Sumit. Honestly, without these people, my career would be non-existent. So I just want to say thank you. And Launcher Engineers Hub is an organization that basically tries to get more girls into STEM. So we're trying to bridge the divide of firstly girls who do get into girls and guys, but the majority 60% is girls. Most of them don't choose STEM to begin with, especially engineering. And even after engineering, when they do get their degree, there's still also a brain drain in that transition because a lot of them end up in different sectors like banking or advertising, but don't actually get to work into engineering. So Launcher Engineers Hub aims to bridge that gap, encourage more people to get into engineering, and also give them tools on how to navigate their career through mentorship, different programs, and also exposure, being able to bridge that gap from engineers who are students and engineers in industry. It has a lot of programs. It has a mentorship program, peer mentorship program, different different programs. There's something for everyone. So you can just follow the socials Launcher Engineers Hub on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You could just Google us, you'll find us. And then secondly, Robotics Institute, which is where I work. You could search for us on the socials as well. Robotics Institute Zambia. It's robotics with an X. And our core business is teaching coding and robotics to children. Currently, we have a program that's about to come to the end, which was a weekend program in collaboration with Bongo Hive, where we teach coding and robotics over the weekend. So you can look out for the next cohort, which will be starting in the beginning of January. So just look out on our socials and you'll be able to find us. And we are also in most of the schools. We are in the leading international schools. We teach it as an afternoon activity. And also, if you are a corporate out there, a bank, you want to do a CSR program in STEM and robotics, and you don't have the tools to do it, we are looking for us. So we do a lot of
I've seen
CSR
them people
projects. Yes, you're looking for us. We'll be able to design something that fits your strategic goals as well as able to impact the community. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, I like how you've humbly mentioned what you do at robotics. You guys are award winners. Just putting it out there.
Oh, and wait, yeah, we are award winning. We're an award winning institution, 2 awards under our belt. CSR Program of the
Right?
Year, which was in collaboration with Stanbic, and Tech for Good from Tech Trends, and more awards coming through. So when you see us in the posters, please vote 1,000 times.
No, really. And for the fact that you actually have said that, that's good. I needed you to say that. I needed you to emphasize that. Okay, so Joey
Yeah.
actually has a question. I would say like you're lucky, but the last 2 minutes you get to answer Joey's question.
I think there's a
What would you
problem with the
say?
network.
Not today, girl. So Joy is asking, what would you say are the top 3 fields young people interested in STEM should be looking out for? Well, apart from the usual engineering jobs.
Oh, okay, great. So I think I know we kept on saying chase yourself, which is the best answer to yours. Yeah, chase your curiosity. But when it comes to specific fields, I think if off the top of your mind, you should think of how can I solve a problem. So look at your community. I think the skill that might be necessary in Zambia is not necessarily going to be the top skill in the US. So look to your community problems. But practically, I think AI is the easiest because it's ever evolving, it's ever
Also, no one
changing.
is an expert yet, and those who call themselves
Exactly.
experts
So
don't really.
you have the head start. And even within AI now, I would say there are so many branches that we don't know. There's research within AI, there is prompt engineering. So I would say look into how you fit into artificial intelligence. And if you find yourself in that space, for sure you're going to be sorted, because every career from here on out is going to be AI powered. An AI powered doctor, an AI powered lawyer. So
Girl,
find out how AI applies to, if you're already in a chosen field, find out how AI applies to your field. And if you haven't yet chosen your field, find your little corner of AI and dominate.
okay. He said 3.
Okay, 3. Aside from AI,
So
I'll
what is
say
AI? Joey, you've seen I'm doing the Lord's work for you.
you're doing his work for sure.
So 2 more before we close.
2 more. I would say communication. Communication is never going to go out of style. Sometimes we take it for granted because we think it's easy, but it's actually a skill that you need to nurture. We're always going to need good communicators. And so that's not a hard skill, it's a soft skill, but it's a very important skill. And leadership. It doesn't matter if you're the most intelligent person, it doesn't matter if you're the most glamorous person. The world is in need of good leaders, and anything that informs your skill to be a good leader is the best place to be. So find a way to nurture these 3. So my top 3 are AI, the second is communication, and the third is leadership.
I'll actually flip that a bit and also say, like, apart from AI, right, with communication, there's a branch of STEM called science communication. So, you know how people actually find it hard to understand concepts in like science, technology, engineering,
Yeah,
mathematics.
yeah.
So, there's a whole branch of like communication called science communication or STEM
Oh, wow.
communication, where we actually have people who are able now to like make those things easier, but still maintain like the essence and the, like of it. And then for leadership, things around ethics and governance in technology are
Yeah,
also a big
yeah, for
thing. So
sure.
apart from just being good leaders, actually studying ethics and governance in like a technological landscape is also a
That's
very
true.
big emerging field.
That's
Since
true.
all of you are on edge that there'll be terminators soon, So they're looking for the people who will stop the terminators.
Real. Ethical leadership for sure. Let's just not say any type of leadership.
Ethical leadership, heavy on the
Yeah,
ethical,
ethical.
because
Yeah.
we need to have
Yeah.
ethics, guys. We need to have
Yeah.
ethics.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's on that. We've come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much, Danji, for joining. Thank you for your yes as well to this
Yeah.
interview.
Mhm.
I love talking to you. I'm sure after this we need to catch lunch and just talk more about it.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
send you my top questions.
Danji, but you're an expensive girl.
Look at the people should know. I'm humble. Maybe I'll ask you to take me to my territory.
That's it. So I thought you were going to say like maybe hungry lion. We just go and get a big bite one.
Sure thing, sure thing.
You said sure for sure. We'll talk after this. Anyway,
Thank you
ladies
so
and
much for having
gentlemen,
me.
thank you so much, Ndanji. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ndanji. Such a brilliant mind. So please follow as well on social media, Ndanji Nachangwa. What's your Instagram handle? Please tell the
My
people.
Instagram handle is Ndanji Zoe.
So Ndanji Zoe. LinkedIn is her full name, like Ndanji Nachangwa. Facebook as well. I don't know if she wants friends, but follow her
No,
on
yeah,
all.
sure. Feel free. Follow me anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, so please follow her, follow Robotics Institute, follow Launch Her Engineers Hub, and just all the amazing places Danji's at, and look out for what she's doing. Also, please follow Living Life in Color. It's just new. So please, as for put subscribe, follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn as Kaboyambayamba, and yeah, let's grow together. So this was episode 2 of STEM Trailblazers. We have another guest coming next week. Same vibe, same energy. Just women doing. I just love talking to women doing serious things. It makes such
Real.
a confidence booster.
Wow.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, we could sit here the whole day. But thank you so much to everyone who actually joined in. Thank you to Joey, to Tandiwe. I'm going up in the comments, just mentioning everyone who's commented. Mupepo Patience, Chalwe, thank you so much for interacting. The replay should be ready, I think, in the next 10 hours. You can also just share the replay with all your friends, your family, and everyone. And yeah, subscribe, like, and share, and always keep your notification buttons on. So thank you so much from Danji and I, and have a good night, and see you next week, Thursday. Not Wednesday, but Thursday. Same time, same place, and look out on our socials for an announcement of the next speaker. Bye.
Bye.